Hello.
Hi there.
Hello. Trying to turn on the video here.
I don't know.
I am.
You
Zoom is
have
not
a
able to detect a camera.
Oh, great.
you
Yeah, let's try this again.
you got a fair echo there, Leroy.
I do.
Well, it seems to have gone away now, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm on the old computer, so anything
Okay.
is possible.
Some reason or another, when I get pop-ups here, I'm getting a loud noise. Let me see if I can adjust that.
I'll be back.
I'll be here.
We'll be waiting for you.
Uh, I just updated Zoom on this machine, and now it's called Zoom Workplace.
Yeah, I did the update also. It's actually 6.1.0 or 149, whatever it is. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know about all these updates. Sometimes I think they just update stuff to update it.
Well, I haven't seen a big change in features in the last couple of updates, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I assume they're just killing bugs, but maybe there's something real going on. Or it may be that it's on a Windows version or some other version. I'm on Linux Mint, so
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They're maintaining four different versions, I think. So
well,
five different versions.
there's a list of probably 7 or 8, something like that. But I have the impression if you do the downloads, Linux Mint, Ubuntu, both the file links are the same to the last bit. So I have a hunch they're double dipping there in terms of versions.
Well, I was just thinking as far as they have an Android app, they have an iOS app, they have a Mac app, they have the Linux app, and they have the Windows app. So they've got 5 or 6 different
OSs, yeah.
versions to deal with. And then in the Linux world, they've got Fedora and whatever they do. But I think you're probably right. Ubuntu, I think most of the Debian based stuff would all be pretty much the same. So
Yeah, I'm sure they're the same. Any rate, so how you doing?
pretty good. I had a wild theory this afternoon, and I've been trying to test that theory, and so far I I'm not I'm not real sure how to complete my test. But I thought maybe my new keyboard was causing the uh, problem with the webcam on the other computer.
Yeah.
And so far it hasn't it hasn't come back. So I've got the original keyboard that I was using with this computer plugged in, the non-mechanical one, and no. But I'm thinking what I'm thinking is because the Keychron keyboard
Mm-hmm.
um is so customizable that they may have sent like a macro code or something to disable certain things,
Oh,
that
yeah.
the BIOS recognizes, and I don't know how to fix that. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I know like on a laptop, you've got certain function keys that will turn the webcam and the Wi-Fi and that kind of stuff off. So I'm thinking maybe that's what it did, and maybe it turns it back on randomly because it's come back a couple of times. And I can't find any reason for it. I can't find any rhyme or reason why it would turn it off or turn it on, but I also don't know what keys I'm hitting to make it to cause it to do that. So I thought maybe just changing the keyboard would fix the problem. So far, that's not true.
So you don't have a keyboard, you don't have a key, what would you call it? There used to be something called a key tracker or a key recorder, and you could actually see which individual key had been pushed in what order. And so you could look at that history. I remember many years ago, it was often used to capture somebody's password. But I don't know if that's still available or not. I haven't used it in years. But if you can somehow record what keys you're pushing, so at
That's actually not a bad idea. I'll look and see if it might be in the repository or something.
Okay.
There he is. He figured out the webcam.
Yeah, the lighting was better a second ago. Your face was lit up, whereas somehow or another you switched it so the background is lit up and you're dark.
On mine?
You, yes.
I don't look any better or worse than normal to me.
No, do you have a light sitting up next to your camera that turns on?
That better?
Yeah. Did you have that on a minute ago?
No.
Okay, well, maybe it's my imagination then.
I think it's your imagination, Art, because I didn't notice it. But
okay.
Well, I didn't have. It didn't look to me like I had the camera connected. I couldn't register that I was connected with the camera.
Is this a USB camera?
Yes, it is. It is the same one that Leroy bought from Home Depot.
Oh,
suggestion like 3 years ago.
decent camera.
1080p.
Yeah, that was a decent camera. I've still got that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got another little one, but I haven't used it for a decade. It's this one, Winbook.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Julie's grandmother was up in her upper 90s, and we installed a computer on the mantle and had the webcam on to just kind of watch what was going on.
Well, this is kind of like a baby camera.
Yeah, but we gave access to everybody in the family, so anybody who wanted to could check in. And it was like watching golf. wasn't very much exciting going on.
Watching grass grow. Huh?
Yeah, that too. She was a little more animated than the grass, but not much. And the housekeeper, when the housekeeper would come in, she'd go over and put a towel over the camera.
Well, that's
Like,
amusing.
yeah, don't do that. Well, I don't like to be watched. Well, we don't like to have you not be watched when you're in someone else's home.
Well, yeah, people are funny about that. A lot of people don't like to have their picture taken. You whip out your cell phone and start to take a picture or video or whatever, and people get really excited sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we don't normally just video people at random, but there are some people that are camera shy. My sister's one with, I don't think we have a single photograph from age 8 until she's like in her 80s.
See, the grandkid, she was 3 or maybe 4. She would get our cell phones out and she would video. She said, "I'm going to be a big YouTuber," and she would record stuff. And some of the stuff she recorded is just it's bizarre. It's just from the mind of.
They're going to put me in the movies. They're going to make a big star out of me.
Yeah.
She recorded. Let's see. I have like 2.5 hours of us sitting in the back. Her sitting in the back seat of the car, and it's just pointed out the window. And I'm like, okay. So it was interesting, Papel. That's interesting. Well, I guess.
Could be.
Well, I've got 5 days of video that I recorded driving from San Jose to Batavia, Ohio. And that was just recording our trip coming across the country. But it gets fairly dull and boring.
Yeah.
There was some interesting things though. About a quarter mile ahead of us, as we were coming across someplace in Texas, an 18-wheeler blew a rear tire, and that was real exciting. That's called batten down the hatches and get off the road, because when that thing blew, I mean, you'd thought the rear end of the trailer had blown up.
Yeah.
And I guess the driver probably had to change his shorts also. Well, I think I don't know if they still are allowed to drive on retread tires or not, but a retread tire, that used to be a big way of saving money as a long hauler, but the basic structure of the tire is not, you haven't cranked the age of that webbing back down to 0 by retreading it. And all you've done is lay a layer of rubber over it. So the webbing is just as aged as it, and they take a lot of abuse. They got a lot of pressure on them, and when they go, they go.
Yeah.
I used to work at a place that hauled steel within the facility. It was a 2,800 acre plant. And they had trailers that were designed to haul loads that you couldn't carry on a proper highway. They were purely within the mill. And they were front to back 60,000 pound coils. and there'd probably be 10 axles on them with 4 tires each. And it was not uncommon for one tire to blow and for it to be a domino on that side. And it would blow
Really?
every tire on that side of the trailer. And you couldn't just go out with a bumper jack and fix that.
Was that because of the weight?
Yeah.
Did the weight shift and then everything just kind of domino effect, or?
They were overloaded to the point where the tires were at maximum capacity with all of them functioning. And so when one blew,
Everything.
the rest of them were devastatingly overloaded. It didn't happen every time, but it happened often enough that they had a procedure for doing it. They'd pull out another trailer. These trailers had a V down the middle, so the coils could sit in there and they didn't have to do blocking or chain them down or anything. And so they just go out with a mobile crane and pick up one coil at a time and transfer it from one trailer to the other. And then they had enough relief that they could jack the trailer up and change all the tires. And they have a tire service that did nothing but that to maintain the transport within the mill.
Yeah.
So this is a steel mill?
Yeah. It is here in Middletown. It is currently owned by Cleveland Cliffs. It had been previously owned by AK Steel, and prior to that, limited partnership between Armco and Kawasaki. And when I started there in '75, it was solely owned by Armco Incorporated. Big facility. If you looked at an acre a day, it would take you 11 years to see the place.
I always was impressed with the slag haulers.
Yeah.
Those things moving, going across Oxford State Road. Go down there and watch them. Go down there and sit and just watch them go back and forth. And they don't stop. They just go.
Yeah, the Middletown Works was one of the few locations within the steel industry that hadn't had a fatality with a slag hauler. Slag is impurities that come out of either the steel making or the iron making process, and they're poured into a shallow thimble shape, and the thimble has trunnions on it, and it's put onto the slag hauler. Used to be that the slag thimbles were hauled out by railroad to the slag dump, but they found that it was more economical to use rubber tired vehicles to do that. And there have been incidents with the slag hauler, but fortunately, no fatalities that I'm aware of.
Didn't one of them hit that gate, run that gate over?
I don't know whether it ran the gate over or exactly what happened. I think the guy set the thimble down on the road in order to stop the vehicle. And the slag splashed over the edge, caught the security tower on fire, burned up the slag hauler, but the operator was able to walk away.
Yeah. I know. I remember. I kind of remember that happening. I don't remember why it happened. And I remember they made some changes afterwards, and you couldn't just go down there, and they had like a weird little parking spot that really wasn't a parking spot where you could sit on Oxford State and watch the slag haulers.
That was a spot for the guy that was in the security tower. And he was supposed to control uh, railroad gates and the or not pedestrian, but the automobile gates
Yeah.
and such.
They got rid of all that though after that happened. You could just go down there and sit and watch them.
Well, I wouldn't want to. I mean,
I always found them fascinating. I always thought it was fun to watch those things moving across Oxford State Road.
I was at the blast furnace doing some monitoring. I think it was for sulfur dioxide. And part of my routine in monitoring employee exposure was to not only put out the equipment, but also to observe the routine and actions of the employees who were wearing the monitors so I could understand the process. A number by itself doesn't mean much if you can't put it in context. And I can recall distinctly the iron runner coming out of the blast furnace. And I had my foot on the toe kick and was leaned over late, leaning on the top of the handrail. And the color of the iron was almost violet. It was so hot and it was fascinating. And the one of the people out of the pyrometer room came out, put his foot on the toe rail, and leaned over. And he's looking at the iron coming out at the same time I am. He says, "I'd rather look at that than naked women." Yeah, it is a fascinating type thing. I don't think I shared his enthusiasm.
Wow. I don't know. Of course, Patty. Everybody's met her. She's 4'8", and when we worked at Donato's, the crew out in the slag up at the slag part would order pizza all the time. And one day she went out to deliver in a little Ford Festiva, and one of these slag trucks comes up behind her, and she's freaking out because this thing is huge and it just doesn't stop. She said, all I could do was go faster.
Absolutely.
And I've got somewhere there's a picture of her standing next to one of the tires on that slag. I mean, she's tiny compared to those tires.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would have found somewhere to get off the road or driven out into the grass or something.
Well, there's no grass to be driven out into. It's a pile of slag no matter where you go. It would not have been designed for a small passenger car.
It definitely was not. But they ordered pizza all the time. They were great customers. But you take 20 pizzas out to them and
wow,
get $50 worth of tip to risk your life driving down the slag road. Great fun.
Well, I was part of a local association of industrial hygienists in the Miami Valley, and we shared our experiences and approaches to a variety of problems. It was pretty helpful. And there was a woman that worked at Monsanto's port plastic facility. And I went down to look at how they were handling the Hazard Communication Act and cataloging material safety data sheets at the time. And she casually asked me, do you have standard operating practice for bicycles in the plant? And I said, no, we don't have a bicycle SOP. And so she came up to Middletown Works, and we were in the process of heading down to the Coke plant, and one of the big pay haulers, the Euclids, came by, and we're looking out and up to the lug nuts.
Yeah.
You must have thought I was a complete idiot when I asked you if you had an SOP on bicycles. You wouldn't want to ride a bicycle to this. I'm kind of scared just being in the car.
A golf cart's too small.
Oh, definitely no golf carts, unless you're in a motor generator room.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Patty came back. She was shaking a bit. She was the guys that took the pizza were like, it's fine. We'll give you like 20 minutes to get out of here before we send more trucks. We got to eat. But she was freaking out. She was like, that truck would have just smashed me and never even known I was there.
Yeah.
So good times.
So is this steel plant still operating?
Yes, it is. They have just announced that they are converting from carbon as a reducing agent to hydrogen as a reducing agent in producing metallic iron. And it is one of the few facilities in the United States. I think it's going to be a $2.5 billion investment where they're going to construct an entirely new facility to replace the 1954 blast furnace with this hydrogen reduction facility. So,
that should be interesting.
Yeah. They had done direct reduction in the Houston facility in the mid to early 70s using natural gas. But this is a much more sophisticated production operation.
AK has changed a lot over the years. For a while, I was still calling it Armco. Now I'm calling it AK. I don't even want to know what it's called now. But they've changed a lot. I mean, they used to have that research place down there on what was that, Clark Street in Middletown?
Down on
Curtis Street. Yeah.
So were they using real blast furnaces, or were they using Bessemer converters?
Bessemer converters were never used at the facility after World War II began. They had a couple of electric furnaces that produced stainless material at that time. But when I arrived in the mid 70s, there were still open hearth furnaces, but it was primarily the Bessemer process doesn't produce iron. It produces steel. The major difference between iron and steel, it's kind of a ridiculous difference, but steel has more iron than iron does. Iron is generally a higher carbon content, like 5% of the total cast will be dissolved carbon. And in the process of the basic oxygen furnace, basic being the refractory is non-silicon, that would be acidic. It's carbon, and they utilize oxygen to literally burn the carbon content from 5% down to like 1/4%. And if you can imagine that much in a 300-ton blow, how much that would be if you'd taken your carbon barbecue grill in the backyard and injected it with oxygen at supersonic speed. The temperature actually elevates and goes up. A Bessemer converter did the same thing, but instead of using oxygen, it bubbled from the bottom air. And that introduces nitrogen, which it makes the steel brittle. And so you
I know.
do further processing on it. I don't know all of the ins and outs of the metallurgy involved in the refining process. My job was primarily to look for employee exposure and deleterious effects to the community, which we had plenty of. The blast furnace would blow air at the rate of 240,000 cubic feet of air a minute into the base of the blast furnace at an elevated temperature. And the resultant off gas was 27% carbon monoxide, or 270,000 parts per million. And if there was the slightest leak or escape of that into the surroundings and the community, 1,500 parts per million is considered to be immediately dangerous to life or health. Well, if you can imagine 240,000 cubic feet, that's a lot of gas. And if 27% of that's carbon monoxide, it doesn't take much of a leak. It was a regular occurrence in the steel industry in the 50s and 60s to pile bodies up like cordwood, where somebody would run into a place and their buddies would run in to get them, and then there's a third and fourth, fifth, and I think the most I ever read about was 12 people in one incident. That wasn't at Middletown Works. I don't recall a single fatality from carbon monoxide there at Middletown Works in my reading. They did have hydrogen sulfide fatality, and they did have other fatalities, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the steel business. My father was a research metallurgist at Battelle Memorial Institute for 40 years.
I remember now you saying that.
Yep. You know, it was my, I absorbed it by osmosis, I think. He would tell me about things and how they worked and so forth and so on. And as a research metallurgist, they basically did contracts with various companies regarding various metallurgy issues. And a lot of times they were on the side where somebody was suing somebody else, and because they claimed that the steel failed because it had nitrogen embrittlement or whatever. And so he had a pretty exciting career, I would say, and they treated him pretty well. But he would be going around. He would go to places that used the steel and diagnose whether or not everything was kosher, so to speak. And he worked with a lot of glass plants that use steel. For example, Libion's Ford glass, which is used, I don't know if they're still even in business, but they made glass for automobiles, obviously, and he always had a good running contract with them to maintain their, in effect, was kind of maintaining quality control because they didn't have any big events very often, but it was quite interesting. But I went a different route. But
Una bolsita blanca.
I'm sorry? So
I was just discussing with my nephew, excuse me, the other day about in the mid 70s, a small mini mill up in New York, Auburn Steel, got an americium source in with their scrap and they charged it. And they contaminated their entire heat with the radioactive material that hadn't been identified. They said afterwards, yeah, we had difficulty picking that object up with a crane, and we thought it might have been stainless steel because it didn't want to react to the magnet very well, but we charged it anyway. And the technical services guy was called. They had what's called a tonnage, and shining through that was a radiation source. When the steel came up and blocked that source, the detector would say, oh, I'm not seeing very much radiation. I must be blocked. Give me more or give me less. And so the valve filling the tundish would open or close based on whether they saw the signal or not. Well, once they filled it with radioactive material, the signal says, oh, I'm being blocked. I'm seeing a lot more radiation than I should. Pour more steel. And so the loop just went haywire and they overflowed the tundish with liquid steel. And they called the technical services guy and said, oh, your gauge is screwed up. Come up here and see what you can do to fix it up. So he goes up there and he says, well, this can't be right. I think my meter's malfunctioning. It says it's hot as hell up here everywhere. So he goes down and gets another meter and he comes back up and says, no, that was right. This thing is radioactive. Everything is. And so they had to shut the entire facility down. They had contaminated the electric furnace, the bag house, all of the continuous caster, the pouring platform, and everything else in the place. So they were out of business for about 6 months. And I was in charge of that. And I thought, oh, it's a fluke. Never happen again. And then Los Alamos had detectors to make certain that radioactive material wasn't transported out of the facility. And they had an alarm go off from a guy delivering picnic tables. And they said, well, this isn't right. Nobody's going out. This guy's got a picnic table to deliver. And they started examining it, and the steel in the picnic table is radioactive. And it turns out that a mini mill in Mexico had charged a source, and they had manufactured all of this tubing and shovels, and it was out in commerce. And there was a big mess in trying gather all that up. And so I can't say, oh, this is a fluke. Now, this is something I have to deal with seriously. So get a hold of people who are doing uranium surveys from aircraft, and they have large plastic scintillation detectors that are extremely sensitive that allow them to fly over areas and survey them for the radiation coming off of uranium deposits. And we buy them to go on the sides of the railroad cars and underneath the car, and whenever possible above the top. And they're just barely sensitive enough to recognize the source. But the people that were doing the data manipulation realized that cosmic radiation has a higher level of background than the steel. So steel would come between the detectors and the levels would go down because the background radiation was suppressed. And by recognizing that, they would recalculate the lower background, and then they could just barely pick up a well-shielded source within a scrap. And so we not only had one of those, we had one from both manufacturers of these in Canada. And because I've seen disasters where the technician comes in and he goes to calibrate stuff and he forgets to turn the gauge back on, where he screws up the calibration and everything's off. Well, we can't risk that. We have to be absolutely certain that we do not charge the source. Because instead of a little bitty mini mill in Auburn, you're talking $1 million a day operation at the blast furnace alone, let alone the rest of the facility. So we do that from two different manufacturers on the scales leading into the scrapyard at BOF, and on the truck scales bringing scrap in by truck. And I get a call that they have a load of lumber that has set off the detector at one of the scales.
Lumber.
Yeah, that was my reaction. It's like, what the hell is lumber is going to do? So I go down and I have enough sense that I turn the meter on before I get in the car, because if it's going to go high, I don't want to be walking into the situation where I'm well irradiated. So I get down there and I can't see anything. And the truck driver said, well, I did have a stress test two weeks ago where they injected me with radioactive palladium. I'm thinking, well, surely that wouldn't, it's a short half-life thing. That wouldn't be it. So we moved the truck out, put a stepladder up between the detectors. And he climbs the stepladder, and I blocked the photo detector to make the detector trigger, and boom, it goes off. So he comes down off the ladder. I go up on the ladder. They block it, and it doesn't go off. It turned out it was the truck driver. It wasn't the load, but it's just amazing. So
he must have gotten an overdose or something or other.
Again, these detectors are set to look at tiny changes in background from a well-shielded source. And so we took the next step and said, well, not only do we want all of the load screened coming in, but we want the scrap dealers to install the same type system at their gates. And so we forced our scrap suppliers to buy these type systems to screen incoming stuff so they wouldn't be contaminated, and outgoing stuff so we wouldn't be contaminated. And it turns out that spring water in Ohio builds up lime on piping, and the lime has naturally occurring radium. So they didn't realize that they had radium contaminated piping coming in until they installed the detectors. So they had state of Ohio people coming in, like every 2 weeks. They'd find calcified pipe, and that was enough to trigger the detectors. And one of the people that I talked about being in an association, they said, well, would they fire you if they had contaminated the facility? And I said, no, they wouldn't have fired me. They would have put me in a catapult and launched me out of the facility. It wouldn't have been as kind as firing me. Well, I'm sorry, I digress.
Yeah. I got nothing. I'm guessing everybody got the emails about the next month and August
Yes.
and the meetings. So
Yes, we did.
And the new month too.
And the new month, the Jane month.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I need to start booking our meetings ahead of well ahead, because apparently other people want that room.
Well, all the other rooms that they have there are small.
Yeah.
Except for those 2 big ones across the hall. They go from a 12-person room to a 100-person room.
Well, yeah, they go from a 4-person room to a 100-person room, and not much in between.
Yep.
Yeah. So August was, I went and I was like, oh, I could get the room from 5 o'clock to 5:15. What's the point?
What's the big demand? I would think August would be low because everybody's off on vacation.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, the July kind of makes sense, but yeah, I was just okay. So I moved up to September and went, okay, I'm going to go ahead and book the 2 for September because I can.
How far out can you book?
Honestly, I don't know.
So apparently you can't just book a whole year or whatever. And
they're new. They're the old system that they had before COVID and all that was really, really nice to book rooms. You could select, like on the calendar, you could select all the dates and all the same times and all the same room and just book it all at one time. Just, this new system, you've got to enter the information in every single time for every single room for every single day that you want to do it. So it's a kind of a pain to book ahead. It's really far ahead because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. I really miss the old system. The old system was nice. I mean, you could put all the days that you wanted, and then it would tell you if there was going to be an issue with one of the days or one of the times or whatever, and then you could go back and readjust. But you could say, I want Thursday, every Thursday for the next 3 months or 4 months or whatever, and it would just go ahead and populate all the Thursdays for you. Unless, of course, there was a issue with one of them. But
so why did they change it, or what did they change?
well, the old system was a third party system, and they probably were paying for that. It probably cost them money. And when the library was closed for however long it was closed during the pandemic, they probably stopped paying for that. And then somebody decided, oh, we could do this ourselves. And they built their own system to do it. And it's not quite as good as the system that was designed to do it for multiple people. The one that they were paying for.
Another casualty of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's my guess. I know they were using a third party to do it, and I'm guessing they had to pay for the third party.
Oh, what you got here?
He's got a mechanical keyboard.
Yes,
Okay.
this is a USB host for the keyboard made with a ESP32. I am reading in parallel. I am reading the keyboard. You see the LEDs show the code of the keyboard, the ASCII code of each keyboard, each key.
So we're seeing the binary of the key code there?
Exactly, yeah.
What board is that?
What?
The ESP32 board. What is that?
This is the ESP32 S2.
Okay. The little one with the LEDs. Did you make that?
Yeah, I made that.
Oh, okay.
This is the cheapest ESP32, I think. Here, for example, you see the bit 7. Let me turn down the light a little bit. There, right. Okay, the bit 7 is used to signal that a key was pressed, you know? The bit 7 is the same signal that the onboard LED that is blue, you see? Okay, now I am pressing 20. Is the space bar 20? So there is a 2 in the first 4, in the upper 4 bits. Forget the bit number 7 because it's used for signaling. But the rest is in the code. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see this is the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here is the code 30, 31, 32, 30 in hexadecimal is the ASCII code of 1 is 31, 2 is 32. I don't know if I can make this less bright, increasing the light of the lamp. No, it's too bright. But anyway, So this is it. When you press caps lock, the key is bad, is without the backlight. I returned to Amazon the keyboard today, and they sent me another one with the same problem with the backlight of the cap locks. It's not working. The LED is off all the time.
Now, Vincente, when you enter a non-keyboard character, let's say a cent sign, like with the Alt key, like Alt 153, what does it display on
Which
your?
one? Which one? Excuse me.
My recollection is the cent sign for like penny is Alt
I
153.
don't know. Alt what? F3?
153. So you would depress the
I
Alt.
never tried that. Let me try that.
Okay.
Okay. That's what my camera maybe broken or no. So what's the key I need to try? Alt?
If you depress the Alt key and then key in, let me see if I can find one that would make sense here. A music note would be Alt 13.
Alt 13. No. No. Function F1, function, Alt, and the number.
Yes.
No, it's the same number. It's not working that way.
Okay.
Like the regular keyboard, right? Maybe this is done by the operating system or by the keyboard. This function, anything.
Well, I was just curious as to whether the keyboard was sending and your display wasn't showing, or
Yeah, but not maybe this the library for the ESP32 that missed that functionality, you know. But in any case, I am showing any control code or any ASCII character in the display. But there is a third message that is 1 or 0 to change the context of this value, you know. Maybe I need to check the other byte, the other byte of the message. I am only checking the ASCII part and the control part, but there is another one that may show this functionality.
am I the only one that knows what I'm talking about, or am I
Yeah.
making sense about it?
Yeah. Well, what I like is the new switch. You see, it's perfect with the magnet. I like it. Instead of have a switch, you just finish your project and unplug it. I bought a lot of magnetic connectors for different breadboards, so now I can just connect anything that I am working on. Very easy.
It spoils you.
I am also working with I remember the last meeting, Steve talked about use the Raspberry Pi development using an SSH connection instead of the BNC that is very heavy for the Raspberry Pi. So I try to use the VS Code from Microsoft. Let me show the screen here. You see, this is
We don't see your screen.
no
See.
Screen 2, screen share there.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the VS Code in Windows. Okay, you can use it in Linux also. And now we are connected to my board name is Romy because I am planning to use it in the Romy chassis. Okay, so here we see different Python programs. Okay, this is the demo for the board I bought. I bought a hat that was on sale in Newark Electronics. I don't know. You can see the board at the same time that the screen sharing or not?
Yeah. You see it on the right.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, there.
I can play, for example, Control C. Okay. Okay. Here is a demo for this hat for the Raspberry Pi Zero. Okay, this hat has a serial port, has a buzzer, 3 buttons, and 8 LEDs, and all the pins for the breadboard to connect jumpers to a breadboard. So I bought 3 of these boards because they were on sale, very cheap. Now I am playing with the SSH session. What this session do is each time I save the file is updated in the Raspberry Pi also, you know. So I update the file. I just save the file and then go to the window, to the terminal window at the bottom. Okay, Control C to finish the program. But I can just run the program from the terminal. Okay. Let me show I don't know if you see here the board. I put a plastic sheet in between the connector and the board in this place. They say that it's not necessary, but I'd rather be safe with this piece of plastic between the connector, the HDMI, mini HDMI connector. So here we can see, I don't know, here, okay. The name is the Maker P-Hot. It has a buzzer and 3 buttons, and there is a demo program. You can press the switch 1, the switch 2, move the LED in the other direction, the switch 3, stop, and you press 2 and 3, the system is I don't know what they call the function sudo shutdown. So you lose control of the board completely. You need to turn off and on again to recover. Okay. I was trying to use the Raspberry Pi 0W, but doesn't work with this configuration because the library that runs the SSH session for update files doesn't exist for the microprocessor of the Raspberry Pi 00W. But the microprocessor of the Raspberry Pi 2W is different. It's the same one that the Raspberry Pi 3. So the library works with the 2W version. This is the 2W. My plan is to use this board in the robot, working with an Arduino and talking in I2C protocol. And then the Arduino board will drive the motors, the encoders, and everything else. And I'll be developing the software in Python, in CS code, and running the test remotely using this configuration. Actually, you can use also C++ or C in your VS code for the same purpose. But I like Python because it's very fast. When you change a parameter, a second later you see how it's worked, how it's performed in the robot. So okay, this is another thing. What else? Well, I am also working with the ruler. I was using this I2C slave interface. It's an I/O expander. You have 16 bits connected by I2C to the ruler. But I made a program to convert this board in a slave and in a I2C slave. So I have the functionality of this chip in this microcontroller. I am testing the functionality as I/O expander, so I can run a program and see how it's behaved. Now it is a I2C slave, just behaving like an I/O port. Here I have the Raspberry Pi. This is the 0. I tried to use this for my SSH remote session, but was impossible. And finally, I find out that the driver doesn't exist for this board. And it was working very well with the Raspberry Pi 4 that I had stick to the shell. You see?
I like your installation.
Okay. And I was using a LED to check how it works. Let me show you. I made this tiny thing with a resistor, so I can connect a pin in the Raspberry Pi and make my experiments with this LED. You see? With the Raspberry Pi 4, the SSH session works perfectly. but I want to use this small guy for the robot that use a lot less energy, you know. And actually, you only connect the I2C wires between the Raspberry Pi and the robot. There are only I2C communication, so it's easy to work with that. Everything is controlled by the Arduino. Enough camera shaking.
Well,
Sorry.
since you showed off your sort of showed off your
Yeah, great. Let me show mine.
oh it's blinking. Oh,
It's working.
it's working.
That you're doing a counter.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the blink. It's blinking that little LED right there that you can't really see. And it's
Yeah.
counting.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
This is mine.
Was that a decimal point? That
Yes.
it was flashing? Okay.
Yes, it's a decimal point and it's flashing very quickly.
I also use a serial adapter in the back.
Yes. My I didn't get the pin headers on real good and it's causing some issues, but I need to go in and try to fix that. But I 3D printed the case. I've got a pink bottom and a blue top.
I was in Micro Center this afternoon, and they have a very good prices in 3D printers. I was impressed. Wow. They have the new one, Ender V3,
Mm-hmm.
3V3, that is 3 times faster, you know. They were selling it in offer by 270, you know, in offer, and was very well finished, you know, very nice.
I wonder. I'm wondering what they're going to do with the drones. They've got a bunch of DJI drones that
you are waiting for the price drop.
I bet they send them back to China. I bet we don't get those cheap.
Okay.
They, you know, Congress has passed something about flying DJI drones.
DJI specifically?
Yeah.
Because they have a chip that is spying or something.
It's something like that. So
Yeah.
they've got one there for $278 that I would love to get for $99.
But will be illegal.
Well, until it goes to the House, it hasn't completely passed yet, I guess. It went through the Senate, I think, or vice versa. One of the two. It passed one side and not the other yet.
Okay.
But I would imagine that places would want to get rid of inventory quickly so that they don't have it.
The problem with China is that AliExpress is delivering in 6 days.
Yeah.
Wow. In 6 days from China to my desk, anything.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah, I think it definitely took less than 2 weeks, the last order I made, but it was
I think
it was fast.
I think they have a huge warehouses in USA to do that, because it's not possible to get out from China, from the customs, and go into the United States through the customs and to the delivery guy, and no, it's impossible.
If you if you believe the tracking number that they gave me, it said in China for 2 days before, 3 days before it even got on the plane to fly over here. So 2 weeks was still like incredibly fast.
They are changing something and making it faster. I'm impressed.
Yep. So,
Where Amazon delivery this cheap, I bought this one TTL buffer. I bought it on Tuesday at 10 by the night at 10 Tuesday, and today at midday was in my front door.
yep.
This is less than 48 hours.
Yeah. You have an Amazon Prime account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't, and I'm still impressed with how fast Amazon can get me stuff. Amazon can get me stuff in less than a week that
But
I could get overnight if I had a Prime account.
when I was planning to buy a drill from the world, the one with battery,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a 50% reduction in Amazon, the price. And I bought it, and it was in my door after 3 hours.
Yeah.
Later, 3 hours later. And at the price, impossible. So I don't know. Usually it comes with one battery, and this kit came with 2 batteries.
I've got a theory about some of this stuff. They just drive trucks around with the stuff that I want on it.
Okay.
And it just stops when I order it.
Turning around your house, waiting for your order.
Waiting for the order.
Yeah.
That's got to be it, right? That stuff gets here way too fast.
Usually with the items that are common use in an area, they have a stock of them.
Yeah.
Books and some titles and some stuff, coffee, whatever. They have a regular shipping, so they used to anticipate the orders.
Yeah.
And they are ready to send them, So I asked for coffee now, and before breakfast tomorrow, I have the coffee in the front door. So
you want something like that.
And it's way cheaper than Kroger or whatever, So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can see it now. The new artificial intelligence delivery system.
Yeah, exactly. They anticipate.
We know you're going to order this, Leroy. It's just going to sit outside your house waiting for you.
Alexa, here, how many times I turn on my coffee machine in the kitchen, and she knows how many coffee cups left because she counts the machine running, and she knows, hey, you are getting out of coffee. Do I order more? I just say, okay, and that's it.
HP does that with ink for my printer, and Mr. Coffee does it with your coffee maker.
Yes. Yeah, there was a refrigerator that was connected, a smart refrigerator that we keep track of what food was you put in it and what food you took out, and it would anticipate what you were going to order and eat for the next week. So it would order your food for you ahead of time.
Maybe you need salt and some bread,
and depending on your diet, they would pre-dial for 911 when you have a heart attack.
And we estimate that you need to double quantity of toilet paper.
Oh no!
Bad, Vicente. Bad.
Yeah.
So, you guys all know that I printed a whole bunch of 3D dragons, and I was showing them off to people. And somebody who apparently lives in a very rural area, doesn't have access to a makerspace and whatever, asked if I could 3D print a case for them. For it's not for this board, but this board is pretty close to it. And I ended up printing 4 different cases because I just wasn't happy with how the board was fitting. And I ended up just increasing the size of this by like half a millimeter, basically. And everything came together and clicked, and it works just fine now. So
It's not nylon or PLA?
PLA.
PLA.
Yeah, I was anticipating some shrink, but I wasn't anticipating quite that much. The difference between the first case and this case, it's considerable. You can really see the difference. Maybe you can see the difference. The 2 cases are, well,
Are blurry.
the 2 cases are very blurry. This case is a millimeter wider.
This
Probably.
is like 2 passes for each.
Yeah.
Wall, 0.4 by 2.
I made one of these cases. I made way too big, and it's even bigger than the final case. And it was like, oh, that case is nice, works really well, but it doesn't hold the board in place. I could get it on and off, get the top on and off, but yeah, I told the guy, I said sometimes it's just a matter of trial and error. You just gotta keep at it till you find the right number that makes it work right. It's very tight. You slide this over and it pops off, and it's a very tight fit, which is good. And you pop it back in, you slide it over and pull it back, and your board gets displayed in there. And
Where you get the STL thing?
from Thingiverse, yeah. But he said he would send me the board, his actual board down, because the one I've got is version 1 and he's got version 3, and it's slightly bigger. So we'll see how well I actually did. See if I actually made it right. But yeah, well, by accident, by looking at just how big or how small mine was inside the case, and guessing. So, but those have been my adventures for this week. I have put together my cosmic elf board and flash the firmware on it for the elf, and realized that the header pin wasn't on there as good as it could have been or should have been, and that's an adventure, because now I got to take it apart to deal with that. But it seems like it's working well. I wish the keys, the buttons, I wish the keys were a little bit above the 3D print. But I don't know if you can really see it. They're pretty flat.
Uh-huh.
And I wish they were just just a little bit above so that there was some height to them so you feel something actually pushing on it.
Nice.
I did not have once I got started getting the those switches in there, I didn't have nearly as much problem as I thought I would.
Okay.
Couple of them didn't want to go in right, but I just kind of wiggled them, and they finally fell down into the hole. So
Well, is that the
I,
board?
I,
that
I,
you
I had
have
to
last
bend.
week?
I had to bend all of them to make it work.
I stuck them. I stuck two of the pins in on one side and just kind of wiggled it back and forth until it.
The problem is that they do not align because you force
Yeah,
the legs.
yeah. A couple of them. If I open this up, you would see a couple of them are not on the board quite right.
Mine are not aligned.
Yes. Yep. I see
Oh, yeah.
yours. Yep. Mine didn't do too bad. I had a minor problem with a couple of them, but yes, this is the board I had last week
Okay.
that the bottom row went in with no problem. It was some in the middle just did not want to cooperate real well.
Did you determine that it was the diameter of the hole in the socket, or was it?
Well, the mechanical drawings of the buttons, I checked many of them. All of them suggest 0.9 millimeters diameter, and they use 0.7. So you need to fight with the switch.
Yeah.
Well, it looked to me, Vincente, when you held it up, that was more second row from the on the screen. Second row from the right looked like it was about 4 centimeters on, or not centimeters, but 4 millimeters off between the keys. Quite a bit, much more than I would have anticipated. Well, I'd reach out and touch it, but I can't do that. Yeah. From your thumb, second row, center 2. Down, down, down. Okay.
This is row 1, row 3. No, maybe 2, 3, 4.
2 and 3 on column 2.
Yeah, this.
2 and 3 on column 3.
Yeah.
It's cosmetic, I'm sure. That has nothing to do with functionality.
No, maybe I will design a new board for that.
You can see mine actually are off almost as much as Vicente. This row
Yeah.
wobbles.
Yeah, because you need to press hard.
Yeah.
You deform the legs from the right or from the left.
And that one's, but when it's in the case and when it's got the cap on it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
It.
But in my case, I am using these caps, and it matters
Yeah.
a lot.
But I think, let me see the backside of yours, Vicente. Yeah, see, I thought I kind of messed that up. I've got mine flat, almost flat.
Okay.
So
No, but you need to use a
The riser pin.
a socket or something.
Yeah.
I am using a socket, you see?
Okay. I didn't go that route. Well, I really didn't have as much problem with the switches as I could have had though. They're definitely off, but
No, but it's a fun project.
but
You like the ELF, the ELF? Because I have a hat for the Arduino Mega for the ELF
okay.
with the keyboard, and you have a RCA connector for the TV, so
Really?
you can see the Pixie image that
The
is 64 by 32 by 64 pixels. Yeah.
yeah, that video I saw of the elf and how they talked about it was one of the cheap DIY computers of the time, and it just fascinated me. That was just a fascinating.
Let me check if I have a picture of what I told you in my ex former Twitter. Mm, Very far in the past. No.
The switches. I don't know. Did you guys hear that little bit of clicky sound from the switches?
I hear nothing.
No, I didn't
No,
hear it.
it's too light. I just got fascinated with the elf when I saw it though. I was like, I want one of those. The one that I saw had toggle switches on it. You programmed it with toggle switches. So
The Arduino Mega simulator for the ELF, but I don't know where it is. Let me check Mega.
oh yeah. What is this that you shared, Steve?
It's an assessment of the drone activity.
Okay.
Art had asked what was going on with drones.
Do what?
Art had asked what was going on with the drones.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Now, this is just a brief look at that, but I'm thinking that if those drones were flown around inside the Pentagon, they could be a problem. In my backyard, I don't see them being a problem.
Anything I would want to do with a drone, I don't see it being a problem. But
Julie and I were on vacation several years ago, and the condo that we had rented on the Outer Banks happened to be one that HGTV was going to be doing a video article about the top floor condo. And so we were watching them filming and such, and they had really, really nice 35 millimeter camera mounted on a heavy duty drone. And they were about to take it off and do a surround of the area. And the drone got about 150 to 200 feet above the parking lot and dropped like a rock. And parts of the digital camera went shooting out in all directions. And all I could think of is, damn, I'm glad that wasn't my stuff.
Oh man.
I don't know how they could have recovered anything from that crash.
Yeah.
The
just-
when it's over your head.
My I think that's called a breeze drone that I picked up when it was clearanced out at Micro Center. That drone was really, really nice. I failed to charge the batteries up, and now they are not wanting to take a charge. They've expanded, so I need to get new batteries for them, but I can't find a replacement battery. I'm thinking that they were 18650s inside of the case, but the case is ultrasonically welded, and I can't even. I'm trying to break the ultrasonic welds on a couple of them to get into them, but I can't even get that done. So, that drone would it would go 1,000 foot in the air pretty easy.
The drones that I think are remarkable are the ones that skiers use that fly ahead of them and record them skiing down the slopes.
Yeah.
And that technology to me is just amazing.
So the Breeze had something called a follow. It would fly in front of you, but it would follow behind you. So on the screen, you select what target you wanted it to follow, and it would follow you. And it had another mode that it would circle you. So you stand in the middle, and it would just circle around you. I never really found much use for either one of those two modes, but they were there. They were built into it. It had auto land, and it would sense when the batteries were getting low. It would just come back to the takeoff point and auto land.
Yeah.
So, and it would be within maybe 2 feet of where it took off from. So it was pretty accurate. We tried it 2 or 3 times, tried to get it, throw it off, but I guess between the GPS in the phone and the GPS in the drone itself, it pretty much knew where it started at. So, no.
Well, I follow a Swedish couple who are sailing up in the Bering Sea area, and they will take their dinghy into shore, climb to the top of the mountain peaks up there, and ski down. And they have a drone that goes ahead of them and keeps them in focus. And I thought it was just fascinating technology.
Yeah. The follow mode, I think it's about 50 foot above you, maybe, when it's following you. It's pretty low, really.
they don't go into the technology of the kit that they use or anything like that, but there's 3 or 4 people that are skiing down the mountain, and you can see the path of their skis and get a pretty good grasp of the mountain and the bay and see actually their sailboat out there in the water. So I think they're higher than 50 feet.
Did you make that kit
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah. No,
Ah.
I bought it and I assembled it.
Okay.
I bought the board in eBay,
Yeah.
a single board, and the rest is switches and buzzer and whatever. You can find it by yourself. Check this board. I don't know, in eBay maybe there is one now. Cosmo Bip Mega. No, no. Was maybe in Tindi.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it works very nice. The buzzer was too noisy, so I changed. I add a resistor in the bottom of the board to make it less. This is my kit. I bought the board, and the rest are my stuff. You need the switches, the same one. But I am using those that you need a cap with a square head.
Uh-huh.
You need a cap for those. The same one that I used in the King 1, King 1. It's my sequence of assembly. I document everything. This is the final result. The creator of the board is in a group I am in Facebook. They talked me about the board, and he found out that my idea of to put the connector under the board instead of in the top was a great idea because it's less bulky, you know. You see the RCA connector under. Originally was in the top.
That. I can't find this board though. Maybe they're not selling it anymore.
I only soldered the connectors that are needed instead of put all of them to make it easier to plug and unplug. And this is the resistor I add to the buzzer. This is I think it's 100 ohms in series to make it less noisy. To reduce the noise was my wife's idea, because each time you press a key, I think it It's annoying. Let's see. Yeah, you're right.
I found
Is it-
I found the Gerber file,
Okay, okay.
so I could just order a
Well,
board.
five of them, yeah.
I don't see the actual project anymore. So
Wait, let me check if I have if I use the Herbert files, or I bought the board. I don't remember. This was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
yeah,
Maybe I have those 4 boards somewhere else in the basement.
okay.
Let me check. I will check after the meeting.
Yeah, the Gerber files say they were posted on 3/17 of 21. So
Okay.
that would have been
But
3 years ago.
Look, it originally was made by Paul Robson,
Yep,
and Walter Miraglia was the one that is in the Facebook group sharing the board. So the
yeah.
board maybe 2021 version.
Okay, yep. Because the Walter whatever is the one that shared the Gerber files.
Perfect. Okay.
So
Those are the ones I'm using. But
okay.
wait for my message.
Okay.
I tell you in half an hour or so.
Okay. Okay. I'll be here in a half hour or so.
Okay, great.
No, because that looks fun. That looks better than using the Kim.
Yeah, because you need a monitor
Yeah.
with NTSC connector with the
Yeah.
composited video. Well, the the TV I gave you has this connector in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Was this one, but in white.
Yes.
And I have this Apple 9 inches also. It's pretty nice. The machine on it is and composite video also monitor.
Yep. Yeah, I've got one of those. I've got plenty of stuff that's got composite. So
Okay. So you only need the board, the PCB.
yep.
I have keys for thousands if you need at the bottom,
I might need the buttons. I might need the buttons.
With cap, without cap, white color, black color, soft, hard, all of them.
It doesn't matter. I just want to make it.
I can make hundreds of kits with my stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So, you were talking about the alt codes for various whatever.
Yeah, I looked up.
I can't get them to work.
On my keyboard here, I tested it out while I was away for a minute. If I depress the Alt key and type in 155, it gives me a cent sign for like a penny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't get them to work.
I found that I didn't try it out on this screen. I went to another screen, and it presented the cent symbol uh, as if I had it on the keyboard.
But then this keyboard has an application that you can change anything on. You can change the code of each key as you wish, different layers of functionality. You can make a key produce anything, you know?
I have a program that can change that in software.
But in your computer.
Yeah, this is a standard thing, as I understand it. If you want an ASCII character that is not on the keyboard, you can achieve that ASCII character by depressing the Alt key.
Yes.
And
but I think
it
this is
doesn't work with the
computer.
number keys at the top of the keyboard, only with the number pad.
Yeah.
It could be that's the difference.
Okay.
So like Alt 155 would give me a cent symbol.
I use my desktop keyboard for that, to produce special graphical characters.
Yeah.
You know, I use I don't remember, I think it's Alt or Control, any number, and you can generate the ASCII code of anything. But this is, I think this is a Windows or operating system functionality, not the keyboard itself. I'm not sure.
So you're thinking that it is the operating system that generates it rather than the keyboard?
I think
it is, because I did actually finally get it to work, but not. I'm getting like an R with a little tilde above it when I type 155 in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't hit the Alt key. I hit the Control Shift and U key and let off of that, and then type the number in, and then I get something.
Okay.
I used to draw graphical characters to produce windows or tables in text using this alter thing, you know. Let me share the screen for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This is my keyboard, right? I am pressing now Alt 126. You see? Alt 123. Alt 147. Alt 111. Alt 147. Alt. You see? Graphic symbols. Alt 176. 178. 179.
Yeah, see, I'm getting different symbols.
Yeah. This add something.
What I'm looking at here is yet another table. This is HTML character set character codes. So apparently there's a bunch of them out there that I didn't realize. I thought that there was just the one ASCII set.
Now the alternate codes there. I think there's dozens of those.
Well, yeah,
There are.
yeah.
It depends largely on what font you're using.
Ah, okay. And apparently it depends on what OS you're using too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the only thing the keyboard sends is key down and key up. And it's a scan code. And then the OS interprets that based on what you're so your nation is and language. There are hundreds of layouts of keyboards, but they all send mostly the same scan codes.
So if you want characters other than what's on your keyboard naturally, natively, you're going to have to look at the operating system and how that's interpreted based on that.
Yes.
Okay.
There's
So
software
question
that
was
you
completely
can
wrong.
there's software that you can say anytime I press E, I want to get the Spanish E with the accent over it.
Yeah. Now I have a program like that I have reprogrammed some of my keys that I normally, for example, if I'm entering a lot of numeric data and I don't want to, in a spreadsheet, when I hit the enter key, I don't want it to go down. I want it to go to the right. I have reprogrammed the enter key to act like a right function key, simply because my fingers don't have to move as far. But I was thinking that was a.
This is my sketches used to include some diagrams. In this case, I didn't use the special characters, but I like them to represent the wiring of the board or whatever, you know. This is when I try to use the alt something.
Oh, yeah.
I used to do something similar, but for pin 0, I put in a little degree symbol, the
Okay.
Celsius or Fahrenheit degree.
Yeah.
So when I hit Control Shift U, which character set am I getting? Because I'm not getting anywhere close to any of the symbols that I think I should. Do you have any clues, Steve?
I don't. I never messed with that. Hold on.
I mean, I'm getting like the Spanish character set, and I don't think I should be.
And when I enter Control Shift U, I get nothing.
Well, you're in Windows, we're in Linux.
Yeah.
What that?
Well, I'm attempting to do that with an application. Well, I have one comment quickly before I go. I had an experience today that was cultural shock. My wife and I were returning from the Dayton VA and decided to stop for lunch at Panera's. And we each ordered a half a bowl of soup and a half a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
The bill for two of us came to $36.
What?
It's happening, yeah.
Noted. Don't eat at Panera's. Got it.
No, but almost all the restaurants are doing the same. I think the prices are going up.
Yeah, that
I-
would be equivalent to $18 for a sandwich and $18 for a bowl of soup.
Me and Patty and Thea, we went and got pizza yesterday. Casano's here in Springboro, and it was $21. I was perfectly happy with that because, you know, it had been $20.05 forever, but it went up by 95 cents. So
Yeah, 5%.
yeah, not horrible, but
No.
it was Coca-Cola price or Pepsi prices that changed, not the pizza prices. The Pepsi changed. So
The quality of the baked goods and the bread was okay. I mean, it wasn't $36 worth of good.
It's another restaurant
yeah,
price.
Apparently, I'm an old man who's used to old prices. I can remember driving a Volkswagen in, giving the guy $2. He pumped the gas for me, filled up the tank, and gave me change for a
You-
$2 bill.
you remember the 20-cent gas, huh?
Back
20
in
cent
the
a gas.
Yeah. 16 was the lowest I can recall.
Oh,
well, and a new car costs five.
Patty's bringing me
5,000.
lunch, dinner. I guess
Okay.
that signifies the end of the meeting, guys.
I'm going there. What's for
I-
dinner?
It looks like I'm getting tacos tonight.
I'm going there. Okay.
I
Um,
hope you don't have
Open
figured out
house.
prices.
I will see you all next week.
Next
We're
week.
virtual, so
Virtual. Okay.
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.